Start.
Okay, so hello everyone. Today I'm presenting Som Distilleries and Breweries. So a bit of an introduction. Som Distilleries comes under a Som group of companies, and is one of their like major and the biggest like company from the Som group. It is like a leading company in alcoholic and beverages manufacturing like segment, incorporated in 1993. The company signed in, as per FY22 report, signed a MOU with the Indian Fashion FZD based out of UAE to export beer and IMFL for Western Central African region, specifically for one of their main products, that is Blackfoot. The company share traded from 256 to 336 with a near high of 336 itself. Now the share is down 10 rupees. The company mainly has five main manufacturing plants and is a main producer and seller of beer, and also have started to diversify in the IMFL segment. The company also had a rights issue of 17.5 crores with a 1 to 13 ratios to fund its long-term capital requirements. This is April 2023. And they also have content manufacturing with White Owl Breweries and Seven Ink Breweries. As for a mission and vision statement of the company, Som Distilleries aim to be
Sorry,
customer
Pratham.
centric. Yes.
With White Owl and what is the other company?
Seven Ink Brews. I have covered all these
Okay.
tie-ups and etc. in the
Okay.
yes,
Not
literally
not
the
बीरा
next.
क्या? बीरा के साथ टाइप नहीं है.
Like I would cover it in like
ठीक है.
around
Cool.
in the seventh slide. So
Cool. Cool.
the water owl, the owl one has been like like is not currently going on, but it was like
Okay.
in the like FY21 report.
Sure.
So yeah, the main aim is to be customer centric, quality focused, and to have an like overall evolution of their own group. Further, they are bound to be like social responsibilities because like the product they are manufacturing is an alcohol product, which is often like said to be a sin product in the Indian society. Further, they want to like uphold highest moral standards and be like finest at its competitive prices. The vision of Som Group was to be a world-class distilleries and brewery providers that persistently offers great products at efficient prices to consumers, and they are inclined towards evolution of brands to remain synonymous with their progress and distinction. A bit of a timeline. This timeline wasn't given by the company itself, but is something that I created on my own. So there could be a slight discrepancies here and there. Uh, so like please bar that. First is 1993 incorporation at SDBA of Som Distilleries and Breweries Limited, along with the commercial sale of beer in June that year itself. In 1995, they got an exchange listing and a capacity expansion in Madhya Pradesh. Further in 2000s, they launched Hunter and Legend Premium beer. Now these two brands are especially Hunter is like one of their main drivers of sales in the beer segment. So it's like a good point to keep in mind when it was launched. Further, in 2005, they had a partnership with UBL for King manufacturing Kingfisher, and they also extended their presence in USA and Africa. And this was the time when Som was undergoing some like really turbulent times because they defaulted on their repayments to bank as well as in some intercorporate deposits that they had because they were like loss making and wasn't able to fund it. In 2008, the company tried to get back on its feet by doing a capacity expansion at 7.2 million cases, as well as introduction in like introducing their projects in West Bengal and Haryana. By 2010 to 12, they more or less remodeled themselves to become a zero debt company and were also like starting to become very active in payment of their dividends. By 2016, they had a merger with Legend Distilleries, which is now a Som Distilleries companies, and they further had a launch of Hunter Pint bottles. This is like one of another product, a new packaging design, and a contract with Jagjit Industries. And in 2017 they got a USFDA approval for beer. Now they were trying to have a global presence in USA but weren't able to directly sell there. So when they got a USFDA approval, they were like able to directly export it there and further cut down cost. And this was the time they had a MOU with White Owl, and they also have like this was also the time they were like first consolidated report was filed by the company, as they had now another subsidiary called Woodpecker at Hassan. By 2018-19, they had a CSD. Now, what CSD is, a canteen store department approval, that is to like sell in various canteens like army canteens, where these products are sold at a slightly discounted from the market price to the people who are like have a card for the canteen. Even my own like extended family has a CSD card because of their retired army veteran. So like they got that CSD approval in three states, and afterwards they had an acquisition in Odisha, which led to a new subsidiary. The name of this new subsidiary was Som Distilleries Odisha and Breweries Limited. So these are the two current subsidiaries of SDBL, that is Som Distilleries Breweries Limited, that is listed. Further, they started to have it's like IMFL, like Indian Manufactured Foreign Liquor Products Approval for Woodpecker. By 2020, they proposed a new issue that came into effect in 2021, and this was also the time of pandemic, so companies started to go into like loss, as well as had several issues with their overall function. But now by 2023, FY23, they are able to recover, and as per the latest reports that they published this month or the end of last month, they have 46% market share in Madhya Pradesh. They also have an entry, started to gain entry in Rajasthan. Rajasthan is like one of the bigger states for alcohol consumption in India. And if you would like just like recall back from Global Spirit Sea, they were like dominant in very dominant in Rajasthan from their all IMFL and IML liquors. So Rajasthan was their main key driver, and entry in like entry into Rajasthan is the good for the company because they're entering with into the like beer segment itself. Further, there was also issue of shares to promoters. This was April 13, 2023, and there was 18.4% share in market share in Odisha, and they also announced a Carlsberg partnership. A bit of a side note, Vital partnership isn't like carried forward till यहाँ पर. A
Um,
bit on the
I have a question. So, in the timeline, what was not clear to me was why did the company underperform since 2019, that is pre-pandemic, till say, for example, around 2021? Why was there such a huge drop in share price?
uh, let me just see the share price chart.
So it was back in April 2018, it was its peak, 158. Then it stabilized to 111, and
Yeah.
around August 20, it fell down to 21. So
Uh, like if you would see like unka quarterly reports from like the consolidated figures, don't see the standalone one. The consolidated figures they have like June 20 tak. So if you see the June 20 ke round ke quarters, and even like a quarter or two before, they were like in loss making wali stage, because they were like COVID se bhi hit, and usse wale unke like remodeling and stuff like that was happening. I would cover that in like the trend analysis thing.
okay, okay,
So
yeah,
yeah. So moving forward, a bit understanding on the product range. Now the company is like divided into two product ranges. First is beer, and second is IMFL. And IMFL is like Indian manufactured foreign liquor, and these are like whiskey, rum, etc. So a division of two is that the beer brands, there are a total of five beer brands, namely like Hunter, Blackford, Power Cool, Woodpecker, and Legend. Now these are all like the variants of that. So these are like one of the more performing variants of their main brands. And from the IMFL part, they have like three vodka brands, two whiskey, two rum, and two brandy. Further, they also launched like a ready-to-made White Fox Refresh varieties. These are like ready-to-made like beers that are non-alcoholic, so like you could just consume them. However, despite this division, there are only three brands that are like mainly driving the sales of the firm. That is Hunter, Blackfoot, and Powercool. These like in the red box. And from that, the division of sales for that the company gave was 90% is from the beer portfolio, and the rest is from like the IMFL brands. Now, before we move ahead, there is a bit of the understanding of the entire beer industry. An IMFL brand is something that is like a like Indian manufactured foreign liquor, that is as an alcohol by volume percentage. So for a reference, for vodka start from like have a majority have like 40% or so ABV, and a whiskey starts with like at least 40% ABV. Like whiskey is like at least, and vodka is like generally 40. However, from a beer's perspective, light beers have a like ABV of 4 to 4.5, and like higher percentage in like the more premium and stronger beers. Now the difference between this ABV content is the life of the beer. So if you would see that a vodka that is a higher ABV content goes for like a year or two in their shelf life. However, for a beer, these are the like general ranges of shelf life. Note that these are all in months. So a woodpecker brand with 4 to 8% ABV content would generally last in a can or a bottle at 4 to 6 months on a shelf. And with a higher like ABV content products like Hunter, which has 8%, they go for like 6 to 8 or over like sometimes even 6 to 9 months. So these are all the products that are untouched and unopened cans because they are like always like pesticides and like all that pressurized and stuff. And if you would see like if you would like go to the extreme end of the like beer is an extreme end of the lower shelf life. If you would go on the other extreme end to the wine segment, an untouched on an open wine goes for like hundreds of years and stuff like that. So the ABV content and the like mixing of this beer is like one of the key important aspects, because during the pandemic years the company had the all the beer stock had to be write down, and that like almost plummeted the company into like almost it plummeted them into loss making because they had to like write down their entire inventory because it expired. As for a differential with that, Nirvana sir was asking, first is the key suppliers. They are mainly dependent on barley. Barley is the main thing that they use for making beer, and other things like sugar and rice flakes. And their volatility in prices obviously affects companies because they are not able to pass the cost that fast to the companies because they don't directly have an access to pricing, because government agencies are like very like tax, not only like tax heavy but also price heavy on these like alcohol companies, and generally revise prices like once a year or so. So every like small change in the margins hit the company directly, and the best they could do is like cut down their costs to like help stabilize the margin. As for the client base, this is more of a contracts that the company has. The first is the Ryder Cook Haitan contract that they had signed in Q3 FY23 for manufacturing IMFL in their Karnataka plant. Second is the Sevening Brews Private Limited contract that they have like since FY22, for which manufacturing has been going on. Then there is a Carlsberg partnership that they announced in FY24 for manufacturing in Odisha, and this is like one of the announcements that the company gave like last month or so. Then there's a bottling agreement that the company had with Jagajit and Oakland bottlers that has been going on since April FY17. There was a White Owl partnership, but even after like those ready-made brands, the company in their FY22 report didn't mention that there was this partnership going on. But I was like not entirely sure on the like White Owl part because they still have like if you would see here, there is a like White Owl refresh and there are like four in their overall product portfolio. As for a forensic checklist aspect, the company stood at 61%. The promoter ownership is like 34.68%. A bit of a background on it is that the promoter ownership, if you would just check the screener, the promoter ownership has been like not very high on the like overall 50% or so mark. And if you would like go back to like FY17 or so, they were only owned by like 20 to 23% by the promoters. But now they have started to like over 5 6 years raise 35%. And in a recent interview of their own MD JK Arora, there was mentioning that they would like try to increase it up to 50%. And there has been like a lot of deals that they have been trying to do in June, but they weren't able to do any like pre-June, but they weren't able to do any more deals in like the whole June period because like they were launching their quarterly report in July. So yeah, they have been trying to increase this number. Further, the promoter stake as a percentage of
Pratham,
personal yes.
one question. They wanted to buy more shares, but they weren't able to buy because they had entered the quiet period, is it?
Like I messed up the dates. In June they were buying. If you would like go and check the trades, they were
Hmm.
buying,
Hmm.
but in July they weren't able to because like
Yeah,
I
they
guess
can't.
they have like regulationary
Yeah, yeah.
restrictions. Yeah,
But how
inside
do
the
you
trade.
know that? How do you did they say something in the con call that they wanted to buy but they couldn't or some, or this is just like you're thinking they've already said 50%, so they would have tried to buy but they couldn't.
They mentioned in the interview with like some
Ah,
TV on the YouTube that I
okay.
found like of
Can you
their
share
MD.
that interview with us after the PPT?
I'll just add it in the notes and I would just share
Sure,
the link with you.
sure. Yeah.
And like they have been in the last like since January, they are like trying to buy every month some like
Hmm.
50 to 80 and like so shares.
Yeah, they've increased their share quite a lot.
So they are saying that they would like very much increase
Hmm.
it up to 50%, and
Okay,
reasonably so they are like trying to do so.
okay, okay.
Next is promoter stake. There was like the main promoter, that is Mr. Jagdish, the JK Arora. That guy has like 12 directorships and partnerships, and a lot of it is tied to Som Group itself. But I'm not entirely sure with the low stake, like low percentage of promoter ownership done by the like Mr. Arora, and then with 12 directorships, he would have a major skin in the Som SDBL. Further, there was a auditor's concern. There was Mr. MS AKB Jain and Company. I asked this in the group, but there wasn't any like known fact that if they are a large, well-known firm. But when I checked, went back and checked their history, they have 35 years or so of experience. So that's why it's a zero, but it could be a one. But I wasn't entirely sure. So raising it is better than saying it's all okay. Further, RPT to sales is 29% as per FY22 report, which that is why it's zero. Further, they yeah, the promote they buy and sell to promoter or KMP director hold entities. Further, they do make and receive loan payments to like their like related parties. That was like 72 crores and was given. I don't exactly recall, but in my opinion, it was given to Woodpecker. That is like one of the subsidiaries of the company. Further, other expenses are at 31% for the company. And as for other expenses by revenue, I took Globus as well as an association of as alcohol breweries, and it exceeded like both of those average, like both of those, and even at an average level. As for like a dilution aspect, the company like I'm expecting further equity dilution, and however like the overall dilution was done by the company was 27%. I have like mentioned it here, but they had an overall dilution of 27%, which is as per like the governance like guidelines. But like further dilution is expected due to the new rights issue that they have done. Overall on the like manufacturing segment, the first is the SDPL, like the Som Distilleries Previously Limited. They have a Bhopal plant, Woodpecker, and they have like Karnataka plant, and SDPL have Odisha plant. These two are like wholly owned subsidiaries of SDPL. As for the FY22 con calls, their overall capacity was this is like the overall capacity as per FY22, that is at like 22.8 million cases and 3.9 million cases for IMFL and beer, like respectively. There are like all three plants saw capacity expansion with Karnataka and Bhopal already like starting their commercial stage in in starting of FY24, and Bhopal coming online in June FY23. Post expansion, their capacity stood at like 30.2 million from like this aggregate of like 26 to 30.2 that they have expanded. First is Odisha plant, which has a total now of 6 million from the post like 5.4, which is like this is only for beer distribution, not like IMFL. They haven't given any highlights on the IMFL, so take these as like the only beer value aspects. Versus like total 6 million cases for beer, on which 1.88 that they added, and 4.2 was their base. As for Karnataka, they doubled their capacity from 4.5 and added additional 4.5 million cases per annum, and like now at 9 million cases. And they in one of their conference they mentioned that they would like to increase it to like 15 million in like upcoming years. As for Bhopal, now this like confused me a little bit on the aspect that if they had a 30.2 million cases capacity, and if I like net these numbers, the number comes down to be 15.2 million for beer. And however, there was like SDBL for 15.2 million in FY22. So what the company gave justification was this, that they have like added a canning facilities. In addition to the beers are like mainly distributed in either a glass bottle or a can. So the company is now like trying to shift its focus to more on the can aspects, because like cans are like easy to transport, cheaper, and all those benefits that comes with can over a glass bottle, and like obviously a reduced spoilage. So they said that they have added a canning facility to Bhopal, the Bhopal plant. However, there wasn't like a capacity increase from it. As for a global presence, the company is like present in almost like more or less present in almost all states in India, and now have gained a major access to like Rajasthan state as well.
Pratham,
For yes,
can I ask one question? I don't know if you'll have the answer right now or not. So, in FY23, they have invested about 100 crores in fixed assets. I can see from the cash flow statement.
yeah.
But their fixed assets have gone down from 406 crores in FY22 to 391 crores. So, offhand, do you know something? If you don't, then can you, after the PPT, find out and let us know?
Yeah, sure. I would like after a BPT let you know what
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because there is not like an exact distribution of what went down, and
yeah,
even in their con calls there wasn't any like mention of this. Like I already observed it when I was like trying to, like calculate the depreciation expense and back calculating that if they're doing some capex, why is their fixed assets going down? But
yeah.
Screener didn't provide any distribution if there is no FY23 report, and even in all their con calls there was not any mention. Like
Yeah,
all.
because the last time that the fixed assets expanded meaningfully was in FY21. They went from 272 crores to 414 crores. Since then, fixed assets are flat, but you're saying they're adding a lot of capacity which has also come online. So
Yeah,
we need
all of
to
this was
understand.
come online in FY24 because like in their like last con call that was in like May 23. That is when they mentioned that the Bhopal the
Okay.
plan would come online.
Uh,
Like if you just like see
Sorry,
the
sorry. CWIP is there. Yeah, my mistake,
yeah,
Pratham. Sorry.
yeah,
This
those
all came online in FY24. Okay, okay.
so
Got it.
whenever they publish their next report, it would like
Ah,
directly
right, right,
entirely hit
right.
them in
Got
like
it, got it. Sorry, my bad.
so yeah, there is no CWIP in FY21 or 22. However, in FY23 they did a lot of capex, and for Karnataka and Bhopal they said there was an outlay of 100 crores, and for Odisha there was also another outlay of 35 crores. Now net is 135 crores, but CWIP is only 99 crores because like some of it was done for maintenance and other was for like the canning facilities. So the only I only mentioned the net increase. As for a total capex done was like around 99 crores, and from which there was like a CWIP of I guess 97 crores, and all of this will get converted in the first quarter itself. As for Odisha plant, the 35 crores distribution was given by them that there was a 25 crores funded by debt last year, not this year, and the rest of it was internal accruals and would come online June this year. No capex guidance for FY25 was given, but they did give a hint that the Karnataka plant capacity increases would be done. Now, why is company so hell-bent on increasing the capacity for Karnataka? Mainly because of the fact that the company mentioned in the con call that they, when in FY23, there was a lot of demand in Karnataka for beer, and they were not able to fulfill the demand because of lack of capacity. So now they are like starting to ramp up market share and increase capacity. So they are like expecting to like not only serve the Karnataka for what its demand is worth, but also expand a bit around like the neighboring states like Maharashtra, Telangana, etc. A bit on the ownership structure, like the overall ownership structure is like 34.646% is owned by promoters. Distribution on it is like Mr. Jagdish Kumar, which is JK Arora, who is holding like 20% of the company, and also has 11 other directorships beside this. And then there's this Som Distilleries Private Limited. Now, these two companies are SDPL is a publicly listed company, SDPL is a privately listed company under the Som Group itself. Why is SDPL holding a 10% stake in the company wasn't justified in any of their like major like discussions, but it's like a more of a I guess a group thing that the entire Som group has some like holdings here and there to like maintain control over the entire firm. Further, there are also Jagdish and Deepak Arora. This guy has also been increasing his stake and is around at like 1.5% and has been buying whenever Mr. Jagdish decides to increase his or his like share in the company.
Pratham, are there any other listed companies from this group, Som Group?
Not that I'm aware of. There are also the Woodpecker and like SDOBL, like all the like both the subsidiaries, and both of them are under like SDPLE. So there was
Okay,
total like five companies, and all of like majority, the bigger baddest one was the SDPL, and rest are like interrelated एक दूसरे में थोड़ा बहुत
okay.
थोड़ा सा
So,
complicate करा हुआ है for some reason or other.
but no other public company.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
As for FY22 report, there was like 6.9 crore shares, and like as per like Nirvana suggested to check the like number of issues that they would issue in the rights issue. These were the number of shares that they decided to issue. The commas are a bit off, so it's like around
34
3.5
lakhs.
crore. Yeah, no, 3.5
नहीं
lakhs.
यार, 34 lakhs.
The comma is a
अच्छा,
bit off.
okay, you're right, you're right.
That's what
Yeah,
I was like saying. The comma is a bit
yeah,
off.
3.4 crores. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to do the 3 3 wala, but
No
no.
problem, no problem. So
Yes,
they had 7 crore and they issued
that like
3.4 crore more. Wow. Okay.
yeah. So the FIs and DIs like don't even hold much. Like if you could see this is like the FI stake and DIs ka stake is there, but it's not even visible on the graph. So now a public ownership. The first is like the majority share is still now owned by public, and at its peak, around 75.5% company was public ownership. But now this has decreased to like 64.5% because like the promoters are taking their stake like slowly and steadily buying from the public and like trying to increase their stake. The company also did a rights issue, and but does like the rights issue was done on a preferential allotment, and to boost like promoters ka stake and to like try to like not dilute a lot of like 3.5 crore stake, so like trying to not dilute that much shares. A bit on the financials, this is like the market cap of the company. This has increased to like around almost globus level of 2800 crores. The share price is now trading at around 326. There is a 10-year sales growth of around 8%, a 5 years profit growth of around 19%. Didn't take a 10-year figure because they were like loss making a lot for a quite a period of time. As for a ROE, there was a 3% ROE and a debt to equity of 0.65. A bit understanding on their overall financials. Now, first is the revenue and EBITDA percentage. The company at first was able to like try to able like maintain their overall EBITDA percentages, but they then took a dip around FY21 and 22. I guess it should be like 35%. So they took a dip around FY21 and 22, and then they were able to like recover in the FY23 figure. The dip that the company says in like FY19 and 20, the company did a lot of capex, which came online in FY22, and since then the company is able, like then went into recovery, and like FY23 was the recovery stage, and then rebounded with a 2.1x volume sales from like a distribution on all those contracts that I mentioned that the company has with Ryoko, Khaitan, etc. In a con call, they mentioned that 99% of the sales is from their own production of like IMFN and beer, and only 1% of sales come from contract manufacturing. As for
One question, Pratham, the red line that you show, is that EBITDA or gross margin?
EBITDA percentage, I believe.
40%
That's
EBITDA.
gross
No,
margin.
it's gross
Gross
margin
I
margin.
guess. Let me
because
just.
their operating margin is around 12,
Oh
13%.
yeah, it's a gross margin. I guess I wasn't able to like. It's a gross. I like. It's stupid of me. I mentioned
No
it on
problem,
the
no
top,
problem.
but it's like not mentioned here. So I was like seeing the legends to like
Yeah, no
understand it.
problem. Yeah.
What is the chart on the right, Pratham?
That's a quarterly sales car. Like if you would see like the quarter sales, they were
It's
able.
sales. Okay, okay.
So in the last 5 quarters, it should be last 6 quarters because like yesterday when I was like finishing off the PPT, they just like 12 minutes, like around that time they launched a new quarterly report, but the screener didn't incorporate that because their report would officially be published in on 5th August. I guess that's the EGM meeting that they have set, and like numbers that they mentioned were like in exercise duty and in a newspaper, so wasn't exactly able to take those to in the chart.
Yeah, they have done 385 crores in this quarter.
Yeah, that's like including I guess exercise duties.
हाँ,
So
ओके
like
ओके।
screener doesn't mention
नहीं नहीं,
exercise.
ये स्क्रीनर का नंबर है भाई।
Also they added it. कल तक
हाँ
नहीं था
हाँ,
because I
नहीं
was
वो
like
कल मतलब जब रिजल्ट आता है ना, रिजल्ट आने के 2 घंटे में ऐड होता है स्क्रीनर पे। तो
when I
तुमने
saw
जब,
it, it was like
हाँ
12 minutes after it.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली, तो और आधे एक घंटे में ऐड हो गया। दे हैव डन 385 करोड़ बॉस।
Yeah, it's reasonable because like this is what I was going to mention is right में that if you would see like March is a bit down and then June पे spike and then they went down. That's because beer is sort of a seasonal product,
राइट।
and whenever Q1 ends sort of and Q2 begins, the company's overall like what you would say the overall volume of sales spikes because in like India is like a summer market majority, and majority summers mein beer is like consumed in a very rapid pace, and even IMFL sales slows down a bit because IMFL like causes heat generation in the body, and that's why the company has been trying to introduce IMFL products in their overall like portfolio, because that's like trying to reduce the dependency on beer and be a all around performer. So a
Right.
380 crores is a justified like sales. I mentioned
Right.
their overall to be like 100 and like 1,000 to 1,100 crores. But
Yeah.
like if you would see in a hindsight and like try to analyze the 380, and that would come to be 1,600 crores, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a fair figure because in like winter months the sales would drop down, and
Would
if
go
you would
down.
see,
Hmm.
yeah, this is like the trend around 100 crores drop here.
Right.
So that's the overall like
So it's
this is
not
like
right to analyze the figure, right?
not try to analyze the like
Right.
the sales figure.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
As for a gross margin to EBITDA like conversion chart, the company like went into loss in FY21, and was it trying to like recover and was able to, but wasn't like fully out of it. And in FY23 were like almost at like like exceeded the FY19, that was like the normalized levels for the company. And they highlighted that the critical risk for like this entire fall was that there was a low shelf life of beer, which I mentioned before, and the Som had to like really write off a good amount of their inventory just because they wasn't able to sell it during the pandemic. As for a conversion from debt to equity, the company in FY21 had to like really depend on debt to fund its working capital, and that's like very visible from this like increase. But now the company has been like trying to pay off debt and also issue equity, so the overall ratio would go down when equity is issued and debt is like calm down. However, whenever like all the reports I find, the company didn't pledge any shares to like try to fund it through the pledging route, but they were like very active on taking debt to overall maintain themselves. Critical ratio, that is like the borrowings distribution versus like the interest service coverage ratio, was like at 5.41%. As for the debt, the company increased its debts from like 197 to 242 crores in 1 year, that is between FY20 to FY23, and majority, as per the pie chart, is like long term. They don't have any lease liabilities and are not that dependent on short term financing. However, there is no major changes as per the company's guidance is expected, because they have done the capex they have wanted to do for now for the year, and are trying to like ramp up the overall operational efficiency. Uh, Overall operational efficiency. Now, for a obviously for a alcohol company, there is bound to be some repercussions in like tax authorities as well as the legal repercussions. I would mention all the court cases in the risks factor. However, for the main contingent liability, which is like a good percentage of their sales, that is like 17% of sales, around 143.7 crores. That was mentioned
So
there.
Pratham,
FI,
just
yes.
to explain it to you, so for contingent liabilities, na, always take a percentage with the total book value. Okay? Because if these contingent liabilities become a reality, then that will be a P&L hit, and your total book value of the company will go down by that amount. So rather than taking it as a percentage of sale, you can take it as a percentage of book value to get a sense of how precarious the position is.
Okay, just a second. Let me just note it down.
Yeah. Just for your future reference, whenever you analyze and try to figure out whether contingent liabilities are too high or too low, always check it against the book value of equity.
Sure.
They're near to
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean their book value is 360 8 and plus 7 370
It's inflated थोड़ी सी जितनी भी value
crore.
है, I'm
Ah,
not
yeah.
entirely sure. It would be inflated अभी because they are going through a re-rating. So
No,
yeah.
no, book value doesn't matter, no.
अच्छा
Pratham, book
अच्छा book
value of
value is the
equity.
okay.
It's
I
the
just
value
missed
of
the
equity on the balance sheet.
yeah, I missed up the like
Yeah. So
names.
yeah, it's about 38%, Gaurav. Yeah, very high,
uh,
extremely
Very
high.
high.
Mm.
So from FY22 report, the distribution I found for this 143.7 crores was 20 crores is tied with tax authorities, and like 113 crores is tied to guarantee that is given by the company for its subsidiaries or other companies. Now, this or
Ah,
other
so
companies are the SDBL, like Som Group Wali.
okay, okay. So now that we know what the contingent liabilities are, it's not that big a threat, I would say, because if this entire 144 crore was tax issues, that would be a very big problem for me. But because it's guarantees, etc., you need to give guarantees because suppose the subsidiary is taking a loan, etc. So unless the subsidiaries are in danger of defaulting, these contingent liabilities are unlikely to, become reality. So maybe now that we've given the breakup, maybe it's not that bad a situation. So that would be my reading.
Yeah, like that's like the entire job to give you a more informed decision.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As for other major event, that is the board approved that they have announced that they would be having an EGM, extraordinary general meeting, from which they would be like increasing the limits for investment loans and guarantees up to 1,000 crores. Now, I wasn't able to pinpoint exactly what this 1,000 crores meant for the company, and is this for this SDBL or for the Som Group's investment involving? So yeah, a bit highlights insight on that would be appreciated. As for that, there was also a mentioning of that they would reappoint a whole-time director as well as increasing Mr. JK's remuneration in the like shareholders meeting that they have like set on 5th August. It was I guess set for 2nd August, but they delayed it to 5th in like last what I checked. As for a financial snapshot of the company, the Som Distilleries have a fixed similar levels of fixed assets for around like 400 crores in like a last couple of years, and were able to like significantly pull back their operational efficiency in this like FY20 to FY23. And like with the increase of their net sales to like 1,000 crores levels, the company is expecting to like have an overall asset turnover of one, which is like slightly like around zero point 0.8 levels, but they're expecting it to go to one. As for the days of working capital and cash conversion cycle, now during the company had like a very like stable days of working capital. However, it in the recent year it increased to like 64, which is more or less as per the industry levels, but the slight increase wasn't justified by them anywhere. However, for the cash conversion cycle, it like drastically went down from like I guess 116 to also 64, and this was like contributed by decreasing in all the components of this. So they are like trying to delay payments and get payments early, and they were able to like sort of get the cash conversion cycle really down and are able to like pull back on their operational efficiency in the last financial year. That was FY23. On overall ROE, ROC breakup, they were able to reverse ROE and ROC through recovery. However, there was like a financial leverage, however the financial leverage is expected to decrease in the like this dilution of equity that they have done in April. So there is expected to like the financial leverage to go down and maybe a slight decrease in ROE and ROC. But the company was able to maintain its overall net profit margin and even slightly increase their return on assets. So that's how what it contributed to like the increasing ROE. A comparison I have taken with of Som Distilleries with the Global Spirits, which is more into IMFL, but like a comparison from one component to another, and for association of alcohol and breweries. These are more or less the similar sizes company, so even if they are not a direct competitor, the alcohol space comparison can be done due to like the undergoing massive swing in the P. Like when I made this, it was around 38.5. A day prior to that, it was around 42.5, and I even don't know like what's it at right now. So like there's like looks comparatively overvalued, but when the time comes, it should stabilize, and the level I'm expecting it to stabilize is around global spirits level, that is around 22 to 25 P when all of this is done. As for the justification for the same, there was like a lot of positive outlook because the company has been able to not actually keep up with demand, which is, in my opinion, a good problem for a company because there is demand and now they have increased their capacity, so they would be able to cater to the entire demand, which is operational in April. So they are catering to the demand in this hot humid weather of like August, like from April to August and maybe September itself. So like yeah, whereas Globals and Association of Alcohol Breweries, which mainly deal in IMFL, have like are more of an overall performers. So yeah, and the price to book value also shows a similar trend. So a stabilization is also expected in this aspect as well. More on the sales and sales growth aspect between the two companies. Now the IMFL segment has been like a very stable segment. So you could assume that if the sales growth was around the IMFL levels, the entirety of increase is like from the beer growth that the company has been doing, and from a lower base, the company would be able to show a very drastically high increase in sales. However, like the IMFL overall itself has a very high shelf life, so the company when and if and when they like really ramp up that is what they're trying. The IMFL, they would be able to have very stable base of sales, and then the cyclicality would only be through beer. Now, an overall growth trigger, and to like summarize the whole presentation, first is the canning facility that the company has installed in Bihar. Now, why they have increased, like put a canning facilities out of all things. Now, first is the company's majority of the company's beers are sold in a glass bottle. IMFL itself is sold in also glass bottles. However, the company is trying to shift its focus from the glass bottles to a can system, because of like obvious benefits like easy to store and easy to like move around, lower breakage and all that. Further, there is also like a cost impact that a glass bottle costs more as compared to a can, and which would also be recycled and like reused. That's why. Further, they also have done a tie-up with Carlsberg, which could fruitful in like utilization of their residual capacity if they have any left in the like non-peak seasons. Now the promoters are like, as I stated earlier, they are trying to increase their skin in the game by maintaining up to like 51% of the overall holding of the company. As for capacity expansion, the company has in FY 22 wasn't able to meet demand due to lack of production, even after operating plants at maximum capacity. But now have like increased it, and there even the sales, like this is the figure that I tried to take from the that newspaper outlet, which is like 135 crores. As for a rapid, they were like trying to rapidly launch more contract manufacturing with other companies, improve their overall state wise distribution, and overall like maintain IMFL as a focus for the company. Now, a state-wise distribution for the company would be like they have been a rapid expansion in Karnataka of 90 lakh cases, and is expected to go to 150 lakh cases, but that's in like a few years time. Madhya Pradesh, the company has like 46% market share in beer brands, and similarly for 19% in Odisha. The company is trying to make a better ground in UP and Delhi, which is, as I mentioned, a sticky market. You could relate it back to global itself. Delhi is a very sticky market because government is like really regulatory and very involved in the alcohol segment. Further, Delhi being a sort of a hub like Goa of like all those clubs, etc. So the market is big, but there are like a lot of like troubles in the Delhi market, and they are trying to expand in UP, which is understandably so, like one of the largest states. Now they are also have gained entry into the Rajasthan market as per a recent introduction, like recent thing that the recent announcement that they did. As for a key
One
risks,
thing, Pratham, can you go back? I mean, I did not quite understand the scanning facility. Could you
okay,
just
so
expand this
I
once?
would just now, if you would go back to the capex valley slide, the
Hmm.
company capacity valley slide, the company installed a canning facility in Bhopal. Now, the Bhopal plant had a 15.2 million cases of beer capacity, and this capacity did not increase. But what they did was add additional facility to the current plant, so that the beer that they manufacture could be put in cans instead of glass bottles. Now,
Hmm.
when a beer is sold in a glass bottle, understandably so, a glass bottle has like a lot of breakage, is like comparatively expensive, and is like not that easy to like move around in the like entire country. As compared to a can, a can is like a thin aluminum sheet, which is like not only less costly, it's easier to transport, and is like the company overall can really scale up the capacity in a can as compared to a glass bottle. So with the similar facilities, the company, I guess, Subway mentioned that from 15.2, they would be able to increase their capacity like by improving their overall efficiency on utilizing cans. They are not like entirely removing like glass bottles, but what they are trying to do is to improve like the cans aspects more in like their overall distribution of beers.
Yeah,
I hope
understood.
that helps.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. Yeah.
Now, a key risk first is the litigation itself. Alcohol firms not only face a lot of scrutiny from government, tax authorities, and not only bans in like certain states, there is also dry days, and a lot of things that is happening in the overall space that we encountered with Globus. Now, what is like really interesting for like Som itself is that when I went back to see what the company's overall history with law enforcement is, right, I found that the promoters, that is Mr. J.K. Roda and one other promoter, has been arrested in past by the GST department. This was like a few years back, so I found a like report which would I would mention in the like next slide, that the GST intelligence has like arrested the promoters for alleged tax evasion. Further, there are also court cases ongoing with the firm, which is like the whole contingent liabilities and all that stuff. There was a past court case between Carlsberg and versus Sohm, which Sohm won as per the verdict because Carlsberg sued Sohm for like copying their whole like branding for their main beer, that was Turbo. If you would see that they have a very greenish bottle, and when you would look at Soam's Hunter product, there's also a greenish bottle and very similar on the branding part. However, the market, like the Indian courts, didn't favor and rule in favor of Soam, which is quite like funny to me because like Carlsberg is now tying up with Soam as per like the recent introduction that they gave. There's also UB versus Soam, which is also for like a marketing copyright case. I found a report for it. I mentioned it in the notes section. However, I wasn't entirely sure if it's still going on or not because there were like a lot of court filings that I had to go through and wasn't able to like completely grasp that. As for a pricing power, alcohol-based companies don't really have a lot of easy ability to pass on their prices, especially for a beer which has a very short lifespan, which undergoes like not only like a very drastic changes in like the prices like of the raw material, that is barley, and these price fluctuations are not able to be like passed to the consumer because the government majoritarily like revises the price only once a year. There is also mandatory CSR activities that they have to do and like comply with the ESG guidelines. And there is also dependency on barley, which is like the interlink point with pricing power. That barley is a rabi crop which is grown in Madhya Pradesh and UP. And when they peak, like for the beer season, when their peak comes, the company has to like have enough inventory first when the rabi crop is harvested in like around March or April, and then store that and utilize that over the season. And then like when the peak season comes down, they are able to like slightly procure the barley from like other sources. Now there's a bit of a like, in my opinion, a bit of a like point on the management's overall character. First is like the 61% score, which is not as bad as I have seen, but is not like that good of a score. And when compared with the fact that the company's promoters have been like arrested for by the GST Commission over tax issues, and the company has around 20 crores of contingent liabilities over tax. Now there is also Legend Distilleries, which is also directed by the same promoters under the Som Group. This is where the Som Group merged with like Legend Distilleries. And when you I looked at their directorship holdings, Ajay Kumar and like Jagdish Kumar, which are the promoters of like Som Distilleries Breweries Limited, they are also like of our Legend Distilleries. So there is a like bit question that in that I had in my mind is that if both the companies are for distilleries, there could be a competition between them, and like both promoter holding companies competing in the market is not like that good a idea. Further, there was like the company under the same management had like defaulted on their loans in like back in 2000s, mid 2000s that I mentioned in the timeline, and now even like it lends to the companies that belong to the Som Group. That was like the guarantees that they gave and the 72 crore loan that I mentioned, the forensics. So a bit risk on a qualitative risks that I found out. And that more or less summarizes the presentation. As for the note segment, I mentioned this like the companies that are under Som Distilleries. These are the two companies that are under SDPL, and there were court cases present online. I could give you a link if you would be like interested into like going that aspect.
Yeah, Pratham, you can just add the links in the same slide. You know, where
Yeah,
you're seeing links now, just add the links there.
yeah.
Very,
I didn't mention it because I was like not sure if like that would
no,
be
no, that's
very
very
relevant.
relevant actually. That's very, very relevant. Like, otherwise, we'll not even touch this company, right? If the promoter is very shady. And he got arrested and got released within what time? Did you follow that up? Like, was he immediately released or what happened?
No, I didn't follow that up, but
Acha.
I was like, he's like out. I don't think so that would have meant for a very long time, but yeah, he
Hmm.
was arrested. So
Right.
like it was more of like when I was understanding the company, I
Hmm.
found like when like reading through value Big and stuff like that, I came across a random news article when I was searching Som Distilleries. Then I
Hmm.
like started to dig in it and then see that the company is already going under litigation, promoters getting arrested, lower forensic scores, and like things started to connect. Ki, like there is a question on the overall management key.
Got it.
You have started to like from mid 2000 you have defaulted on your loans, then you have a litigation issues with the company, your main promoter got arrested.
Hmm.
So like if you like combine all those facts, tried to summarize it in a single slide
Right.
ki, like
Got it.
कुछ तो हो सकता है इसमें like fishy from it.
Yeah, and the litigation against Carlsberg, do you know like what was the source of what was the point of litigation?
Yeah, so the point of litigation was I mentioned the PPT was that the turbo जो उनकी main है Carlsberg
Hmm.
की
Tuborg.
उसकी like
Yeah, that's okay. Tuborg नाम है मैं बता रहा हूँ.
हाँ
Yeah.
Tuborg, I'm not like drinker. So Tuborg जो थी उनकी beer that is like a Carlsberg group like key beer, and when they introduced it in India and like overall the world, they
Hmm.
had a very clean bottle and with a like a Tuborg
Right.
label
Yeah,
and
yeah, I know the
stuff like
bottle.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you look at the Hunter from Som
Acha,
Distilleries, they
okay.
also have a very similar.
So
Now they had
copyright
like
infringement.
tried to do it a bit of a tweaking, but there was like a marketing and a copyright,
Okay,
and you are
okay.
like trying to even you. I guess that you like I tried to summarize all the code filings of UB and versus Som using ChatGPT to just get the gist of instead of reading 60 pages.
Right.
But even in that, it pointed out that there was like a marketing and SQ per issue
Acha,
ki
got
copywriting
it,
ka. So
got it.
yeah,
And
this is
Carlsberg won that case, right?
no, Som won that case. They
Oh,
ruled in favor of Som ki this is not how it happens. They are like there was a very specific line that they mentioned. If you could just
okay.
see my chat GPT ki history if you want
ठीक है.
the
No,
line.
no worries. So Som won the case against Carlsberg. अरे प्रथम गया.
Yeah, just a sec.
Yeah, yeah.
I admitted him.
हाँ,
Yeah, sorry, it got refreshed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no
So
problem. So Som won against Carlsberg or against UB?
Som won against Carlsberg.
Oh, wow. That's very
So
impressive. Okay.
No, but
yeah,
but India's laws are also very weak in these
Yeah,
IPR
that's true.
things.
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, the quote like concluding is that there like is an overall like overlap between the two companies presentation novelty and aesthetic aspects, but that doesn't mean infringement.
Hmm.
This is what like a one line summarization of what
Got
the
it.
court case was. I wasn't able to follow up UB because when I was like trying to see UB ka case there was like a 80 page or so court filing and wasn't sure if I should like try to
Yeah,
read it.
yeah. No, no, no. That's
But
fine.
but
I
now
think.
Carlsberg is basically their
Partner, yeah, that's what
partner.
like very funny to
Hmm.
me ki they had a litigation in past and then they are like partnering up.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. Also, Nirvana sir, I had a doubt.
Yeah.
For a company like Som, they are like in the last few like since I took up the company as a like point of analysis,
Hmm.
they have been trying to like I guess sort of bias the market in my opinion because
Hmm.
they
Right.
have been like trying to constantly say कि यार हमने 46% market share मध्य प्रदेश में ले लिया, we have taken
Yeah.
19% in Odisha, and they and now they're saying कि like we have a very good quarter B. So like I guess aren't they like trying to push थोड़ा
So,
सा
so
market.
this we'll have a good quarter, they said before the results.
No, like it's a understanding for a company in a like this beer valley market कि they would have a good quarter in June
Hmm.
ending वाली
Hmm.
चीज
Hmm.
पे.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like they have when you see the past cycles they have a good quarter in June. कि
Yeah.
जब भी होगा वो जून हमेशा स्पाइक करता है. So
Right.
market को वैसी वो expectations थी and now they are like passing a lot of like saying कि like we
Yeah.
have done this, we have
And
done
they're
that, we
also
are.
saying that you're saying that in the interview, the guy is saying that I wanted to buy more shares, but I can't, and all these things. So these are usually not good things to say in the market. A lot of people will treat these as corporate governance issues, and especially with the background that you have already given us, this is not a good sign. So right now, see, it's a bull market and everything's good, but yeah, there may be risks.
I mean even with the bull market and like they are like बड़ा बायस करने का ट्राई कर रहे हैं मेरे ओपिनियन में तो, कि लाइक हम
हाँ
ये कर रहे हैं, हम ये कर रहे हैं, हम ये कर रहे हैं। अच्छा
yeah
हाँ, नाउ दे हैव लॉन्च्ड द पीपीटी फॉर अगस्त भी, नाउ आई
yeah
गॉट इट, ठीक है।
yeah
तो
yeah so I
लाइक
think if you feel it in your gut, I have found most of the times there's something there. I mean, एक साल बाद जाके पता लगता है कि हाँ ठीक है, ज्यादा ही कुछ ओवर सेलिंग हो रहा था, रिजल्ट्स उतने अच्छे भी नहीं है और दे वर नॉट सस्टेनेबल, लाइक दे विल चेंज अगेन।
आई
सो
मीन this is like a qualitative, like I have always been more interested in like qualitative वाली चीज की, ये qualitative aspect है. In quantitative they have showed a expected result in a quarter, they are increased their capacity, they have a lot of capacity expansion,
या
and that's saying कि market है. तो अगर आप ये सब ignore करो तो they are fundamentally a, in my opinion, a sound company also, because they have like increased their operational efficiency, cash conversion cycles are down, and then they are like trying to
या
like mitigate their overall debt levels, not
या
defaulting like they used to. So yeah.
करेक्ट करेक्ट या नो आई थिंक आई एग्री विथ योर असेसमेंट बट दीज थिंग्स कांट बी इग्नोर्ड सो
So I'm not saying to ignore it, but I'm just saying कि, like, there are like two aspects that I always find interesting in like
yeah.
reading
No,
about
so
companies.
your please send that interview. I would like to also listen because I've not heard a promoter say that I want to buy more shares, but अभी quiet period चल रहा है इसलिए खरीद नहीं पा रहा हूँ. I want to see how badly he was saying it, or was it just a subtle indication?
नहीं, it was like मेरे ख्याल जितना I remember, it has been a week or so I read, but it was like
अच्छा,
very subtly कि they were saying कि like हमें बढ़ाना है अपना stake अभी,
okay, okay,
but
ठीक है,
like जुलाई में तो, जून में तो, सॉरी जुलाई में तो they can't, cause I guess guideline थी उनकी कोई, जो
right,
सेबी निकालता है.
yeah, they can't, yeah,
Yeah, so consolidated, like figures are consolidated first. So I would just cover the historical pehle. First is their revenue growth from like the past 5 years. They were like fluctuating in the pura pandemic period, but now they have like really taken it up in the last like year or so. As for a material cost perspective, they are sort of like a band of 53 to 60% range, like a 10% brand in that mark, in that range. And with the like increase in sales, that the 62 is like sort of increment is expected. As for a gross profit, this is like this has been having like a 40, like 37-45% range of gross profit. The manufacturing expenses for the last 4 years has been constant at 4% of revenue, so I have taken it at that. And as for employee cost, this is like, this decrease is good for a company because they were like trying to increase their overall efficiency in the whole employee cost aspect. And this is a okayish number for a company that's not very heavy on R&D. As for other costs, the company, uh, yeah, the other costs, the company had a this decrease in the overall like other costs here, which I found was because the company was had a very high number of sales promotion efforts that were they were doing, and like classifying it as other costs. And when that number like wasn't there in the next quarter, and then the next report, this number like fell down even with the slight increase in the like sales. And I have taken it at 20%, which is like the residual of this like 4% taken here. On that basis,
okay.
like there are the
Before going to EBITDA, Pratham, one question there. Gross margin, you have assumed a very aggressive. Two questions actually. One is gross margin. You have assumed a very aggressive increase compared to last year. In quarter one, they have delivered 36% gross margin. Okay, so way lower than your assumptions. So maybe you would like to take a look at this. And second is revenue. You're taking only a 20% YOY increase. But if you look at this quarter revenue and compare it with YOY, it's a 50% YOY increase. Like I'm comparing season to season, so no seasonality effect. There's a 50% increase. So maybe I don't know if this number needs to be relooked at or not. And again, these revenues are with excise duty, is it?
नहीं, नेट वाले में they mentioned
Net
net.
value में अच्छा net value में okay हाँ you're right yeah so maybe whether 1,000 is too less or not, that is my other question.
Okay, so like, should I like just directly address it or cover
No,
the
no, no. You take your time. These are my comments on this. Like you send us
नहीं,
another
like
one.
I was thinking like, should I cover the पुराना वाला or directly jump कि why I have taken it at 1,000 crores?
हाँ मतलब तुम्हारा क्या
अच्छा,
रीजनिंग है 1,000
okay,
करोड़ का
so
बताओ, मतलब मेरे हिसाब से
so
तो और ज्यादा होना चाहिए.
Okay, so the what the company mentioned in a last to last con call was that now they're expecting around 1,000 crore increase in the like mark that they would achieve in the next 2024, that like overall. And the next con call they mentioned that they can like reevaluate it to like 1,100 or 1,200 crores, but like to stay more on the conservative side from that, because I really like whenever I like try to understand the company or management ka POV through a con call, the numbers seem to me like have a bit of a like grain of a salt. So that's why I've taken it to be a more on a conservative level to exactly what they said to like the prior, like exactly what they said prior, like
नहीं,
at the thousand
अंडरस्टूड
crore.
अंडरस्टूड बट अभी क्योंकि क्वार्टर वन रिजल्ट आ गया है, ठीक है, इफ यू टेक आउट द Q1 नंबर, ठीक है, फ्रॉम 1000 करोड़, देन यू आर लेफ्ट विथ 615 करोड़,
650, yeah,
ठीक है. अब 615 करोड़, इफ यू लुक एट द लास्ट थ्री, मतलब लास्ट
quarters
ईयर के
ke,
थ्री क्वार्टर्स,
uh,
it is, I think it is just a
two,
little bit more than that, right?
three,
It's not even 20% growth
four,
from those. So just take a look at it. That's my view.
yeah.
If you think after considering also number doesn't need to be changed, just state the reason and reshare the number.
Yeah, sure, because this was made like before the
Yeah,
June
yeah,
ke numbers,
yeah,
so
yeah,
there could be a bit of discrepancy on
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. You can go through the con call maybe, and then con call recording will be available on YouTube today itself. So
Yeah, so
so if you get some time, just go through it, and if you think there's any update needed, just do it.
yeah, like if they are like even I in like still whatever like the numbers you are mentioning, I'm still a bit hesitant to like move from it because I don't know,
Fair
this
enough. Fair
company
enough.
has been
This is just my observation. You don't have to react right now. Take your time, and then if any changes are needed, then do it in the model. If you think this is fine, then just give your reasoning for it, and then leave it at that.
okay. So I could try to do is like exactly copy the base year in like another column and then like take
Yeah,
जो
yeah,
assumptions up there and then compare the two and see if there is a truth to it. And if there is like something I agree but not completely, I could try to average it down as well. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sure.
Okay, so further, there's like this is a beta margin record that the company has. There has been like a sort of normal other incomes. The expense has been like stagnant here and is like expected to like slightly decrease, which was like the numbers that I took analyzing the last like the numbers that they had in the last quarter. So moving forward, there was a depreciation expense, and what I tried to model using a depreciation expense was like back calculating net fixed assets and like taking it like last year's के and then उस पे 4% depreciation लगाई, which was is more or less the trend that has been going on. As for the CWIP of the company, now what I like the company had a 97.17 CWIP, which they said would be realized within this year. Odisha, they gave a very clear expectations of June 2023 ki, where that is when they would start it. And for residual, that was like 62.17, which I expect is from the Karnataka, sort of from some of which were from the Bhopal, etc. So I have also taken it to 0.75%. Now, why I have taken it as a instead of like for the entire year, if they are saying, because I'm not entirely sure when, like,
Yeah,
in which
makes
month
sense.
they would be pinning it
Makes
down
sense,
exactly.
Pratham. Yeah.
So, like adding this at a 4% depreciation rate with the number that I came with here, which is like 391 ka, and then I came up with like this number of 18.56. As for taxes, they I have taken a, like an average of their overall tax history, excluding the Beachwala year, which seems like an outlier. Moving forward to like there would be like expectancy of like a 10% sales growth, which is calculated like down from that. Now there has been a now I tried to do the valuation for the price of the company. So for which I tried to do two bases that like which Navana sir recommended. First is the median approach. On like calculation on all the calculations when I done, the PE came out to from a median approach to be like to at like 1956 mark, 14248, and like EV/EBITDA, then price to sales. On that basis, this is the price at expectancy, which has a range of 140 to 253. And if you would like just look at the screener numbers, which is like trading at 326, these seem like completely like undervaluing the company, which is what even I thought ki like company is not that uh, is not that undervalued at the point. So I try to do more of a judgment based approach to give a p value of 22.5, because this is the value that global spirits had. Further I reinforced it to a what a stable company in a alcohol segment would be at, which came to a like a market cap reverse price of like 289, and further were like an EV beta valuation of 20 and a price to sales valuation of 2, which gave me a very tight range from like not a tight but from a 250 to 430. Now a median versus a judgment based approach is like very drastically different,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the median
that's
is like
fine. That's fine. This is tough to take these calls, Pratham. It's a nice approach that you've tried. So I think, uh, so the way I try to do it is try to sort of put together two, three different things in my mind, like how is the quality of management, okay, what is their past history, what is the latest yearly ROC that they have delivered, is that likely to persist for a few years or is it going to disappear? Yeah, so considering all that, you have put 20 EV EBITDA, I would probably put 15 as EV EBITDA, as on a discretionary basis, just sharing my thought process. Yeah, so at that maybe, so that was my expectation also, that Som is probably, is trading at 25x forward P, or like, the current price is basically fair price considering what they will deliver in FY24. Any further
yeah.
increase from here may or may not happen. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's the
Yeah.
sort of impression I had.
If you see like the other two numbers, they are like calming it down B, but
Yeah,
EBITDA has been like again the number for net debt would be the this year ka number, and
yeah,
without like the cash figure, the exact modeling would be not that easy.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
this is
this
just
is
my approach.
so this is basically what kind of EBITDA company? This is a 12-13% EBITDA company, right, Pratham? So the ratio of sales to EBITDA is around 7 is to 1, right? If you divide the 13%, so if you take that and convert it into ratios, it's about 7 or 8 is to 1, right? So if you're valuing it as uh, sort of a 20 EV EBITDA, then you have to divide it by 8 to get around 2.5x price to sales, maybe a sort of the corresponding value for EV EBITDA conversion. Of course, if the EV is if there is a lot of debt component, then the market cap and EV value will differ a little bit. But one way of sort of checking your differences between price to sales multiple and EV EBITDA multiple is just do this ratio adjustment, that EBITDA is a percentage of sales. So convert that to a ratio and just check if you divide the EV EBITDA multiple by that ratio, is it coming close to your price to sales value, or is it price to sales valuation multiple, or is it very far from the price to sales multiple? That can also sort of give you an idea. In case like one multiple is suggesting one value and another multiple is suggesting a very different value.
So like I would like if I try to remodel it, because
Yeah,
yeah, this is like I didn't like get the chance because I was like out thoda sa aaj. So I would just
that's
remodel
fine.
this
That's
entire
fine.
thing, and like not like exactly uh remove this. I would try to adjust it thoda and try to average it down thoda zyada, because these are like what I soundly believed, but quarter
Yeah,
result is like the more of a quantitative number. So an averaging would be, I
right.
guess, a better approach
No, so
here.
you can probably see, how much capacity is getting added, and this quarter, 50% growth that they've reported, if that growth is sustainable because of the capacity being added, then you can probably model more aggressively on the revenue. But if you think that this quarter revenue has some one-off price-related, increases which won't sustain through the year, then yeah, then maybe this growth will not sustain.
Because this number in itself is an inflated number, क्योंकि ये वाले like this overall season is what they are
No, but
best
I am
at.
comparing season to season, Pratham. I am
अच्छा,
taking away that
you are
impact.
taking अच्छा, that 50% is a seasonal
That
value.
50% is June to June, June quarter to June quarter.
Okay, so that could be like
Yeah, so
I
there's
would have to
no,
see कि उनका जून में like there is a website that I used when I like did global spirits और उसमें prices आते थे like the
Yeah,
beer brands and stuff like that. So
right.
I used to like note down the prices and then compare it कि कौन सा कितना price चल रहा है अभी.
हाँ हाँ, तो तुम्हें अगर वो लेवल का अगर कर सकते हो, then it'll be much more accurate. So mine is a very basic sort of looking at, YOY growth and trying to sort of see what kind of revenues can come.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So I would like do this थोड़ा remodeling
yeah,
but एक बार numbers पे थोड़ा I would try to see. Any
sure.
other feedback on like the
नहीं यार, मुझे
presentation?
तो इस कंपनी के बारे में कुछ पता नहीं था, तो आई थिंक अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग प्रेजेंटेशन, स्पेशली like what you covered in terms of promoter quality, that will stick in my mind. So anytime I get interested in this company, I will definitely first do checks on that, and I will listen to the interview that you will share. Overall, I don't know much about the alcohol space. Maybe Gaurav does. So, like, if beer, etc., or IMFL is going to take off in a big way among the lower middle class, because that's where I think this is going to, then these can be like long term sort of plays. But I have no idea, honestly.
I have
Uh,
made money, but never caught on. I mean, never kept it for long term. So I had Radico Khaitan, like
Uh-huh.
1% of portfolio, and even Showm I had from, I think, 135 levels, and I sold it off at 178 levels. It was
Okay.
very tiny position. I saw
But
it in that.
Radico Khaitan, tell me, Gaurav, doesn't it
Uh,
have more premium brands, or is it the
yeah.
same
It has,
time?
it has,
Yeah.
it has a very high quality premium
Very
brand.
high
And
quality premium
I
brands,
shouldn't
exactly.
have sold it because this Rampur brand and all these are
Yeah, they are really
pretty
good
good
products.
popular.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they are
You should try
amazing
it
products.
sometime.
Yeah, I've had it. They are actually
Acha.
very good products, and they are marketed very well. So I think very different kind of company compared to Som, no?
Yeah. So the problem was that I had it since I think April 21 or something, and then after the peak, there was a fall. I think till May 2022. So at
Right.
that phase, I sort of sold it off. I had like 20-30% profit, but I should have hold on to it.
Wow, you sold it at what? 178 rupees.
No,
नहीं
no, no.
यार,
I bought it at 500 levels.
okay. It's
500
3x,
levels.
3x
And
from there now.
yeah. But I sold it at around say 800 levels.
Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
that's
Got it.
good. But
Yeah,
अभी
No,
तो
I
it's
mean,
at अभी तो it's 1400 पे चल
but
रही है.
I
yeah,
sold it just as the price was turning. I did not know how to kind of
yeah. That has
value
happened to
this
me.
because it was expensive. I mean, it was not looking like cheap or no brainer. I mean,
Yeah, it's at 94p right now. So I think,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Even that time it was pretty high. I think 50-60p around. So
yeah.
I thought like, yeah, okay, like, and I just recovered from IRCTC shock.
Yeah. No, crazy. I mean, 11% ROCE but 94p. I mean, sometimes market just does random things. 88p. Yeah,
Lots of retail investors. Lots and
yeah.
lots of retail
But
investors.
retail investors can't make the PE go here, Gaurav. I think there. No, Gaurav, there is huge.
Hmm.
There's 42% FII.
Okay.
हाँ.
That's what is causing all this PE. So basically, any branded thing that comes into Indian markets now, it gets hugely re-rated, man. Because like market or these FIIDIs immediately they love brands and it's easy to understand, right? Like
Hmm.
it's something that is a sin good. People will be attracted to it. There is a very strong brand, very premium looking product. चिपका दो इसको मल्टीपल, क्योंकि ये 100 साल बेचेगा, इतना इतना प्रॉफिट कमाएगा, एंड therefore the PE can keep going up, right? ये
Yeah.
सोम वोम में ये ब्रांड का खेल नहीं है ना। सोम
ये
में
तो
अभी तक, हाँ।
like only product I heard was उनका flagship ही Hunter before like
Hunter.
studying the
अच्छा,
company.
तुमने सुना था क्या? मैंने तो सुना भी नहीं था।
I
मैंने
tried Hunter.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah, I mean, okay.
It must be very strong or like
Yeah, strong. Not
strong,
that
right?
refined, yeah.
Yeah. No,
But some
actually,
people like it actually. I
no.
mean, I
Actually,
remember.
people,
Hmm,
lower middle class people. I mean, I'm not stereotyping, but say for example, people who are doing hard labor. Okay,
hmm.
after that, they don't want something light, man. They want something that will actually give them a little bit of a kick. Yeah, exactly.
You won't
So
believe it. In Singapore, I saw
yeah,
that Kingfisher beers were available, and because Singapore had a lot of migrants
right,
who were doing all this construction activity from India, so
right.
Kingfisher is a very popular brand over there.
Right. Yeah. So Kingfisher is, I mean, okay, Tuborg is very strong, right? So I
Yeah,
stopped drinking Tuborg because of that. But a lot of people like it. So yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, there is also country liquor जो IML होते हैं, ये IML में डील नहीं करते, but I guess Globus करती थी, so this country
yeah,
liquor भी that is also like
country
sort of.
liquor availability. I mean, those places are more shady in nature. I mean,
yeah.
I
so
mean, yeah, so like I'm not a drinker, so I don't really know the exact
Yeah,
market
that's
prices. Like
yeah.
barely above. I don't think so. Like Delhi ki legal age was 21, I guess.
Acha. Okay.
I guess so. I'm not even like legally allowed to drink it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, just stick to analyzing these companies, Pratham.
Yeah,
Don't do any product
I,
market testing and all these things.
nah, I'm not
channel
interested in
checks.
that thing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
good.
yeah, my Gaurav said, uh,
Yeah,
we recording on है इधर.
अच्छा अच्छा मैं बंद
Like,
कर देता हूँ रुको.
कोई
मेरे
बात
को
नहीं
तारी सी
यार.
लगा था, and I was like recording on है.